Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Turks and Caicos Islands, preserving our heritage and culture. I'm Reverend Dr. Glenn Missick, and I welcome you to this other episode. I'm here today with Mrs. Olivia Yvonne Roberts-Richardson. Okay, and we're here with you to talk about your journey as a person in the diaspora of the Turks and Caicos. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are, your family, and what are some of the things that you know about the people who, you know.
I am the daughter of Georgina Gadet of Grand Turk, and her mother was Ida Estelle Gadet Wins, and her mother was Sarah Wins. That's my mother's side. My father's side is from John Roberts, who came from England, and then Benjamin Roberts of Grand Turk, and Lloyd Roberts, who was a librarian there for at least 25 years. And
Lloyd was your father, right?
Yes, Lloyd was my father. Mm-hmm. And I remember them so well. I'm second generation from Grand Turk, child. And I have been there so many times, 19 times. People used to say to me, you came back home, and they just thought that I was really a belonger. And I did belong there. All my heart is there then and now. And I remember the times when I used to go early, and it was a hardship for a lot of our families who were there. They had, everything had to be imported. They had to catch their water, make big tanks in the back of the yard, square containers with metal sheet on the top of it to catch water, to have their water. So that was their source of water. And their source of getting limited food stuff for themselves there on Grand Turk was hard, because the stuff that they did get in, they had to, somebody would say, please send me $1 and I will send you some fruit or something from North Caicos. That was the way a lot of people had, because Grand Turk was basically very dry and did not have areas where you would have grow any vegetables or anything like that. And they took their fish, they dried it, they took conchs and they battered it and they hung it up to make dry fish. That was basically, and at times before, you have now donkeys still there, but in the 70s you had lots of donkeys there, and in the 60s you also had cows. I don't think you have many cows that are there now. We used to really enjoy being there. Grand Turk then and now is so memorable for the breeze. There is no place that has that breeze, that Grand Turk breeze, that you can enjoy. That is one of the things that tourists who go to Grand Turk really, really love, and I truly miss it. You know, I tried to do the genealogy, and I was just shocked and surprised. I did my genealogy, and it found and came back that I was 63% white, and I really had a nervous breakdown.
Are you surprised?
Yes, my children, I told my children, please don't tell nobody, please don't tell nobody. And it was 30% black from Benin and from the Congo. So I had some reserve as to where I lean to my true people is black people. So that is the thing there. Times early in Grand Turk was very hard for someone who was of a dark skin color. My great-grandmother, Mary Lightbrin, her parents were slaves. And the Roberts family at that time were an elite family who, it was not advertised that the grandmother in the house was someone of a brown color. That is so unfortunate then. It was that the people who were light-skinned with fine hair were the ones who were elite, the ones who had the jobs, the ones who were accepted. Otherwise, you had to go and work in somebody's house, clean, or you had to rake salt, or you had to try to get away to go and on different steamers to go and make your life as a merchant seaman. A lot of those men who went jumped ship. They came to the United States and did not want to go back on. And there was a woman there who the government was giving a bounty of $50 for every one.
When you say there, what are you talking about?
In Grand Turk.
Okay, in Grand Turk.
In Grand Turk, the government gave a bounty for turning in the men who had jumped ship.
Wow.
And you had Joseph Golo, my stepfather, Frank Mullins, a child of Grand Turk, Harry Kirchhoff from Suriname, and Count Bernardino Franklin Ellis, a child of Grand Turk.
Boogie Ellis.
Yes, and they came but they were turned in and had to go back to their countries and Grand Turk.
Now, what countries were they in? First of all, let's back up a little bit when people were saying, well, where were you born?
I was born in Pablita and Leaves, Astrid Mizzik's house in Brooklyn.
That's my uncle.
Yes.
Okay.
And she's also my godmother. Her name was Olive, and my name is Olivia. So my mother named me from her.
943 St. John's Place,
That's
Brooklyn,
right.
New York.
That's right. And I tell you, Grand Turk people from Turks and Caicos Islands stuck together. Mm-hmm. When I was 16, my sister Lucille and my mother said, my mother had 8 children, and she said, you all got to come try and see if you could bring some dollars in this house. My first job, Hilton Astwood, child of Grand Turk, and Pablita Mizik. They gave us our first job in Horn and Hearted restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Horn and Hearted is now the parent company of Burger King. And there were many there. I remember we stuck together as a people. And we would go to Nathan Duncanson's house, cousin's house, when he would make rolls and biscuits.
Mark's place.
Yes, he had a bakery out of his house. And I don't know if many of you remember, because it's old times, but we would go to Manhattan to Tim Forbes Bakery. And Tim had the best bakery and patties and things, those things that we really, really would make that trip to go there. And so we really stayed together. I remember, and I missed it too, that camaraderie of people coming to my mother. My mother, Georgina, always had her door open for people who were coming from Grand Turk and Turks and Caicos and might not have any place to go until they got settled. And she would always be ready for them. She loved to have her family and her people come to her house, and she would talk about going home. My grandmother Ida used to send.
Ida Cadet.
She would send these tin pancakes in a tin round pan of a cake, and it was like a pound cake, and it was icing with hard icing and white marble icing balls on the top. If you bit into one of them things, you would break your teeth.
That's right.
I remember, and I miss them so much, the different people who were so dear. Charlie Bean's sisters, Maida and Mona Bean.
Now,
and
Charlie Bean, you mean Stanley Bean and Charlie Bean?
Yes,
Zanna
the
Bean's,
brother. Yes.
Zanna Bean's sons. Yeah.
And Maida and Mona, cousin Maida and Mona, would come over to our house every Christmas holidays, and they would bring a tin pan of, we call them butter cookies, but they were called cream cakes.
Oh,
and they were thick cookies that we would come, and we looked forward to that.
Talking about sending your blood sugar up. But they were good.
But they were so good, and it was a gesture of, this is my family. Let me get together with them and do something nice. So I hope that the people in Grand Turk still have that closeness, and here in the United States that they are still reaching out to each other and talking old times and good times and giving hope, because it's still hard times.
Yeah.
A lot of things are happening in the world that we do need our family who is far and near. And so that is the good news about it, that our people are good people. Because you would always hear, sometimes some people would say, oh, those folks in Grand Turk, they're this, they're that, and they're no good. I would correct them right away. They're stealing land from each other. I would correct them right away. That is not true. Our family looks out for each other, and of course they want what is theirs, because there are some people who are unscrupulous and some people who come from different nations who come and take our land that is there in Grand Turk, and we have to stop selling and giving away and keep what we have for a legacy and a heritage for our own children. So I hope that people will understand that and think about it. And of course, we don't have the money to go back, those are here in the United States, to build and renovate and renew and maintain houses, but that land and that house belong to our family, and I think that we should keep it. We can't keep letting people take our blessings away from us. I really loved being there with my father, Lloyd Roberts. He had a good Christian home. When I would go all the time, we had high tea at 2 p.m. in the day, and you had to have prayers, you had to sing songs, and you had to give your view and your idea of what you felt about Jesus Christ and hope and belief. And I hope that that still prevails in a lot of houses, because today our children, some of them don't even know who Jesus is. In the Methodist Church, on the left-hand side is a big plaque that was of my great-grandmother, Sally Sarah Wins. She was a woman of big size, but she was their organist, one of their first organists there, and there is a plaque there to her. I'm disappointed that a lot of the young people now are not interested in legacy and history of our people in the Turks and Caicos Islands. They don't make contact with other Turks Islanders to share the memories and write them down, save them for their children, because we have to know where we came from, and we have to know who our people are. And just to cut off that I'm now in the United States and my children are American, no, that's not true. We are the roots of Turks and Caicos Islands, and it will always be like that. That is our heritage that we have to honor and respect, and I truly do. I try to share that word. I try to visit the different ones. That is my cousins here and there. Right now I'm in North Carolina and in the country, so I'm a little bit handicapped in trying to get to different places, but there are a lot of Turks Islanders that are in the United States, and we just don't even know who they are. So I hope that we can change that. And the Turks Island Association is not effective and in effect anymore. We need to form together, even if we don't meet. We have Zoom, we have all different kind of things that we can reach out and do partnership with our true family.
So let me come back in again, and did you know anything about the old Turks and Caicos Islands Association?
Well, I went to many of their dances and their fairs.
That's before the one that we got started as young people, yeah.
No, I did not.
You didn't know? Yeah, they used to have dances at the Savoy. and other places like that, you know.
I did.
You
Well, I
went to
guess that was the old
That
one.
was the old one. That's right. That's
I'm
right.
old.
Yeah, that was the old one with the codfish cakes.
I was
and
a
all
part of
stuff,
that.
yeah.
Yes, that was a beautiful affair. But you know, Glenn, did you know that in the history of Grand Turk there was slavery?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's mentioned in Mary Frances' narrative in her book, and that the slaves that
Mary Prince.
Mary Prince,
Yes.
when the slaves, when they were buried or convict, they hung them at Pillory Beach,
Hillary, yeah.
right down at Pillory, and Miss Saxon, who was the director of the museum, maybe about 7 years ago, I was chatting with her, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to send you a list of all the plantations that were here in Grand Turks and Caicos, as well as the names of the slave masters, because you know, the slave masters even had favorite slaves who they had to get permission from the Queen, from England, to bury their slaves as Christian in the Turks Island graveyards at the churches." And she sent me a list, and I'm looking at the list and everything, and I see Mystics and, you know, all different kind of names that Bassett's and everybody on there. And it didn't stick to me that my first heritage name is Wins. Way down at the bottom was Thomas Wins, that he buried his slave in the Methodist graveyard. Now, oh my goodness, that thing hit me to my heart. And you know, they had also there that with the slaves on Wednesdays in 1700s. On the Wednesday, shops and everything were closed. They sold and bought slaves and regulated who was going to be an indentured worker in certain houses, as well as that's when they slaughtered cows and butchered the meat. So it is, and then at the prison, which they called the gaol, they would ring the gaol bell 3 times a day to let you know what time it was there. So there was a system. There was a system and a practice that they had there. And our ancestors and our great-grandparents, they lived with it. They had in their houses, on the shelf in the kitchen was a cement ledge that they would get twigs and branches that was this thick, and they would burn them for charcoal and then cook in a pan on top of that. Some people who are elite had a very small, what you call cookhouse, but not many people had
fire hearth.
Yeah. Yes.
The British call it.
And it was terrible, because how could you cook like that? It was terrible. I remember the first time I went to Grand Turk, my Aunt Flossie Roberts, she said, "Child, I'm going to fix you breakfast." And she fixed me 2 sunny side eggs, and it had so much what you call collie. I don't know if you all remember that word. Collie was charcoal.
Oh,
it had
yes,
collie.
yes.
It had collie all in it, and I said to myself, "Lord, how am I going to eat this?"
Came up from the Caicos Islands, where they would really...
No, collie you made was charcoal. You made it yourself.
Made it right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said,
Burned
you took
the wood
you burned the wood and sit it up on a ledge. And the ledge was set back. You could see Bermuda houses had this chimney that went like that. It was set back where they would cook their different food on there. And this food was like that. And then I remember one time I went and I had some tea. And the tea and the sugar had so many ants in it. I said to myself, this is a hard life. But they lived it. And they were strong people.
They survived.
Strong people. I was telling you about the woman named Lacey Tucker, who she was blind, but she lived in this little hut house, one little room house, and she made it. She made it by herself. I'm sure different ones probably went to take her, you know, some nourishment here and there and whatever, but
it was a community, so
that's
people
right,
helped
to
each other
look out for each other. And that was it. You lived like that. And you know what? I remember a good memory and a bad memory. One of the first times when I went to Grand Turk, as I told you, my great-great-grandmother was named Mary Liprin. Well, she had a brother who was not well-minded mentally, and his name was Holton Liprin, but he had a nickname Bahili.
Oh, Bahili,
And
yeah.
I was out on the sand looking at the water because my father's house is right there on the beach.
Yeah.
And this big, huge man came from behind me, and he had a sickle
You were
in
scared
his
of Bahili.
hand. And he went, oh. And I said, oh, I screamed. My father come running out. He came running out. No, 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 that's your family. Bahili, that's your family. That's your family.
He could break a bottle with his foot.
I don't know what he could, but he was huge.
Yeah.
But they said he had got into some kind of crime, or he did something, and they took him in, and he lived in a small little hut right there on the back on the beach.
I think he had a little mental problem, but he was accepted, you know.
Yeah,
into the
that's
community.
it. You did not turn the ones away at all. There was a few, and you know, I even had recorded down a list of twins.
Yeah.
In Turks and Caicos Island, there were quite a few twins that ran down in the Wynns and Adams family.
Let's talk about your famous twin uncles, Harry and Georgie, right?
Well, I could go further than that. My grandma Ida, she had her Ida
Wins.
Cadet.
Cadet, yeah.
Okay, she became a cadet. She married George Cadet, who was born out of Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Okay, and she had her first child that weighed 23 pounds.
Wow!
She could not bear that baby, and they had to cut it out of her.
Oh my Lord!
So, and unfortunately, she died with ovarian cancer, so it did ruin her body.
Like my grandmother, Laura Adams Musick. Same thing. After having 12 children, she died of ovarian cancer.
Yes, you know, and then the thing there in Grand Turk at that time is that you had a doctor might come every 3 months.
That's right.
And who knows what kind of doctor that was.
Yeah.
So you had to rely on what you had there, midwife.
Yeah. Did you know Miss Maywood?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she brought me into the world. She brought all of us into the world.
Maywood, and Evan Wood, and Ben Wood.
Yeah.
Ben Wood lived on Halsey Street in Brooklyn, and our second house that we lived in was in Ben Wood's house. He married Lillian Astwood of Grand Turk, and Ben Wood became a cousin to me because his mother was Hilda Wins, coming down from our family.
A lot of these Wins. My father's first wife was, I think she was a Wins. Yeah, she was a Wins. Victorina Wins Missick. That's my brother Perry and Iris and Stanley or Richard. That was their mother's side of the family. She had a twin sister.
Yes, a lot of twins.
Cousin Celia.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes,
used to live right next to Mr. Natty Kelly and them.
Yeah.
And she. The irony of it all was that she was related to my mother.
Everybody in Grand Turk at that time were related.
Yeah.
They were related. And, it was always a joke, and still people say it. You walking down the road, a guy walking down the road, and he got, some girl he's trying to be sweetened up to, and somebody would say, hey, young man, come here. Who you with? Who's that gal? She could be your cousin. Because everybody was some kind of way related.
And you know what it had to do with the small population that we had in Grand Turk. It was hard to your cousin Ben Bassett in one of my videos said that he promised that he would never marry a Turks and Caicos girl because chances are she was going to be his cousin.
He was one of 13 children.
Wow.
Yeah, my Aunt Lily, my father's sister, Lily Bassett, she married, and she just about put out the family. She married.
No, she was Lillian Roberts.
Lillian Roberts,
Bassett, right.
And her husband was very, very dark, wonderful man, Walter Bassett.
Okay.
And
From Soul Key.
Yeah. And so that was. I don't think the rest of the Robertses that digested with them so well, but that's how it is. That's why
That's Flossie Bassett.
Yes, Bannon's Flossie's sister. And she married. Flossie had people always talk about her husband, who was a teacher.
Mr. Bass.
Yeah.
He was my teacher.
Yes. Oh, okay.
From Barbados. Yeah.
You always talked about, who was a teacher. But,
So let's talk about your siblings. How many you had?
My mother had 8 children.
8 children.
She had 3 children for Lloyd Roberts and 5 children for Joseph Golo, who was come out of Curacao.
Okay. Is that Carl? Or
no, Joseph came.
Joseph.
His name, yeah.
What was
we called him
name?
Papa Jimmy.
Papa Jimmy. Jimmy.
Yeah. His given professional name, I guess you would call it, was Joseph.
Joseph. Okay.
Yeah, and she had 8 children. I had one sister, Lucille, who is now living in Raleigh, in Fuquay, Verena in Raleigh. And then I have another sister, Hendrina, who is in New Jersey, in New Brunswick.
New Brunswick, okay.
And before she went there, when she retired, she was director of Downstate Hospital in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, right across from Kings County.
Yes, yes. So she's living comfortably now from her work experience. Yeah. Another sister, Lourdes, we call her Doogie. She's in Jersey, and another sister, Desiree. She's the youngest one. Okay. So there's 5 of us left. There was 3 boys. Lloyd Jr. We called him Junie. And then there was named after his father, Jose, and the baby boy was Jan. All of them are deceased now.
Okay, Jimmy.
Yes. Yeah, we have Lillian Roberts Adams.
Yes.
She's married to Neville Adams. Yeah. And I have Noel Roberts.
He's your oldest brother.
My oldest brother. He's now 91. Yeah. And as far as I know, who else? That's all I can remember.
That's about it. I
heard rumors of different things, so I can't say because maybe they don't even know. Noel also had 13 children.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, quite a bit of children.
And Noel is on one of my episodes. He's one of the first.
All his children are living and successful. So.
And
thank God
you
for
want
that.
to give a shout out to Sarah, who told me, Glenn, you got to get my aunt.
Sarah is a sweetheart.
Yeah. Sarah Roberts.
Noise. Yes.
Husband just passed from
England. Yes,
Arthur.
He just passed. And she's got a daughter, Danielle, and a son, Damien. And she's very proud of her children and everything. Yeah. And she lives up on the ridge. Yeah. She has a green thumb. One time she did have a little greenhouse boutique in back Salina when her husband had his first supermarket there. Okay. And so she has her gardens and her trees and her fruits and all around were beautiful. And that's something you didn't see too much. I remember when I went to Grand Turk also the first time, my mother said, you have to go see Miss Millie Carvley. That's Crofton's mother, Crofton Carvley's mother. Okay. And she had a beautiful garden. She said, ask her for some flowers, please, to go put on your grandmother's grave. And then the other one there who had a beautiful garden was Eudora Francis.
Oh, yes.
Eudora had a lovely,
right through the Alabama's Vinnie Robinson.
Yeah, yes. So those
Bob's Francis' sister, right?
That's right. Yeah, they had a lovely young, and all those people had small little house. I tell you, let me tell you, when I would go there, my grandma used to say to me, Yvonne, go in the Easter room, go in the North room, and sit right by the East window. Yeah. The breeze is coming from Wester. I'm like, what? being from here and growing up in American schools. What the world are you talking about? I didn't know any of those things.
No, to westward and to eastward.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. That's what it was. I lost the whole saying of it, but yes, and so that was really something, you know, really.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up a little bit because I know you got some photos you want to show, and but this is wonderful, and I definitely will come back, and I'm sure that the young people will learn from this history. You know, we need to hear it. You know, like the Bible says that you may tell it to generations following, and I've been a long time coming to see you, but it's never too late.
The other thing I'd like to say is that to tell different ones, especially young people, our children, nieces, nephews, talk to the old folks.
That's right.
Because they know, they have an encyclopedia of history of our families in their head. Mm-hmm. And they sit, if you don't talk to them and find out where you came from, how good it was, and some of our ancestors were so successful despite their early beginnings. Mm-hmm. It just shows you the hope of what you can be and where you can go.
That's right.
That's right. Look at you. And the other thing too is one of the things in the family is that to keep Christ in your family.
That's right.
Turks Island has a huge history of pastors and reverends. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we used to stay close with all of them. Yeah. Reverend, Stanley Tatum, Reverend Tatum, mm-hmm. With so many whole.
He was like our pastor up here in New York.
Yeah, Stanley, Reverend Jones, all of them. Mm-hmm. We
Clifford Jones. Yeah.
We need to really understand that we were a people, a proud people. Yeah. Our beginnings, unfortunately, we were under colonial times. Mm-hmm. And yes, we came from slaves and indentured, and some of us wasn't. Everybody wasn't coming from that area. That's right. But we, in Grand Turk, that's a beautiful place, and we cannot give it away to the stranger.
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to thank you. I call you Yvonne. Everybody says, "Who's Yvonne?" And then you always remind me that you were named after my aunt Olivia. Right. So your legal name is Olivia Yvonne Roberts-Richardson.
And added Richardson.
Your husband is Curtis Robinson. I mean, Curtis Richardson. Curtis Richardson. That's a slip. Slip. I'm thinking of Father Curtis Robinson, Canon Curtis Robinson there.
And I tell you, I am 81 years old.
Wow.
Yes, goodness. I thank God for my life, health, and strength. Yeah. Yep. I'm not super well, but He has given me a portion that He wants me to have, so I'm thankful for that.
I tell you, you look wonderful. You look wonderful,
you.
And I appreciate the wisdom that you've given me, and one of those wisdoms was that Glenn, you need to finance what you're doing,
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Because you look, they can't see this camera that we're using right now. It costs a lot of money.
Yes, it,
And then, there are people who call me sometimes and say, I want you to come down and do my father. I want you to come down and do that. But I never think about.
I would say that there is a Cash App.
Yeah.
And Glenn needs to give out. You need to give out your Cash App.
It's I have the barcode now, and hopefully I can put it on this. But
verbally you need to orally say, I want you all to support the endeavor of keeping our history and legacies alive.
Are you all listening?
And how you do that? It takes dollars.
It does.
And so. We would ask that you donate what you can, because those dollars add up.
Thank you.
And so I appreciate being a second generation child of the Turks and Caicos Islands. I hope they have that in my obituary, because that is truly who I am.
You are.
And when I was in politics, I worked with Congressman Owens and against police
Major
brutality.
Owens,
yes, and they used to call me Miss Turks and Caicos. And my pastor in my church, Gilfield Baptist Church, they call me here comes Miss Ireland.
It's all right.
Yeah, I'm the only Caribbean in the whole church, and they appreciate it. So I'm glad that I'm loved.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate, again, as I said, the wisdom you've given me over the years. And it's good to come down here with my wife and to be with you guys. This is so relaxing. I don't want to leave.
My sister-in-law, Grace Roberts, who's deceased now. I could not come unless she made me some peas and hominy with a piece of pigtail in it. That's it. That's it.
We must say that you saw us coming here, and we're here in North Carolina, Hollister, North Carolina. And the first thing you did was you made us some food, some nice fried fish, and was it corn and salad. Yeah, beautiful, wonderful. So listen, folks, we want to thank you once again for another episode of Turks and Caicos Islands, Preserving Our Heritage and Culture. We pray that you will continue to share these with others, and that you will let people know about Yvonne's story, and that God will continue to bless you, and may God bless the Turks and Caicos Islands.